Welcome into another edition of Region Roundup. I'm James Boyd here with a special guest, I can say maybe. A different person, not Mike Clark this time around. I'll talk to him later this week for another podcast, but we're doing a special state football podcast with my sports editor, Aaron Ferguson. Aaron, how you doing?
Good, James. Recovering from a long day yesterday, but a fun day. How are you?
I'm good. For those of you who don't know, me and Aaron basically lived at Lucas Oil Stadium yesterday. Of course, we tried to provide you as much content as we could, as much good coverage as we could of the Brickies. But there's a lot that went in behind the scenes of that, which is why both of us ended up leaving the stadium at about midnight. And I had to walk to find my car, and Aaron was very gracious and offered me a ride to my car. I didn't need it, but we successfully made it home after a very, very long day in Indianapolis. Exciting day. And just to start off, Aaron, obviously it was a historic year for the Brickies, and you had a lot planned for us to do as a staff. So can you just take us through the process of everything we tried to, provide and ultimately did provide?
Yeah, with everything that's happened with COVID-19, I figured there's a lot of people in the community that maybe aren't family members or maybe some older family members or immunocompromised people that wouldn't be able to make the trip to Indianapolis. So one of the things I really wanted to do was kind of bring Lucas Oil Stadium to the readers through NWI.com. We had videos from the game. We had post-game interviews. We had the trophy presentation. Just a full spread and timely updates on as the game was moving forward from before the game started to through the post-game. And kind of the thinking behind that was, a lot of people are staying home. The ticket sales were limited this year. But also just to provide a different way to cover football, because in the past, or over the weeks of the season, we've been running the live scoreboard on Fridays, which I have mostly been manning myself and updating that as frequently as possible. But with one team left, I figured why not spruce things up a little bit and go in depth. So credit to Paul Warren for being our boots on the ground and sending in those videos while I added in the stats and play-by-play to keep those updates timely. And then kind of just, a typical spread from there with the standard gamer that you did a great job on. Todd Keegan did a great job on the Zach Mode feature, but also just really how the team kind of battled to the end despite the 49-7 blowout. Obviously it wasn't the result that they wanted, but, the fact that they kept battling and really represented their community and were outspoken about what Hobart means to them was a great angle. And then I kind of got a tip early in the week about Josh Miracle, who graduated from Hobart in the mid-2000s and went on to play at Wabash College and ended up at Westfield, who beat Merrillville in semi-state. And if Westfield was down at the state title and played right after Hobart, they were on the same sideline at Lucas Oil. And it was cool talking to both Josh Miracle and Sean Zolab about kind of how their two programs are related and how that helped Hobart finally get back to state again. And so that's kind of how the coverage came about. We've got more coming, depending on when you're listening to this. We have more coming in Sunday's paper. And yeah, I'm just glad that we were able to cover the Brickies so well and so in depth, and hopefully everybody enjoyed the coverage and bought papers and maybe have taken advantage of the special Black Friday subscription that we're offering online.
Yeah, obviously any support is appreciated. I tell people all the time I have a really cool job, and it's possible because of support from you all listening and reading, and obviously, supporting local journalism. Big picture wise for Hobart, this was their 12th state championship appearance. And their first since 1996. They were seeking their first championship since 1993. Fell short. It would have been their fifth state championship. But overall, I think it was a heck of a year for the Brickies, mainly because the stories I wrote leading up to it were pretty cool. I had the story on Riley Johnson, who told me in week 6 last year that they had the potential to play for a state championship, and I thought he was nuts. And I remember talking to him yesterday after the game, after they had lost, and he was telling me, like, man, you want to do one more? And I'm like, yeah, man, let's do it. So I'm proud to say I'm probably the last person to interview Riley Johnson for his football career, that is. And he's just he's a guy that kind of embraces what Hobart is. His family's all Hobart. Parents, his grandparent, Jim Johnston Sr. is a legend at Hobart. Even a legend at Purdue. Won a national championship at Purdue in pole vaulting. So it was cool to kind of see him, write his own little chapter, as he said it in the book, by getting to a state championship. And he still wants to try to win a state title in the spring in pole vaulting like his grandpa did. But overall, I think it was really cool. And then for me personally, just getting to know this team the last 2 years and knowing these players, interviewing them, and just building that relationship with them, I think it helped because I was able to kind of get some of that more, just stuff you can't get from the box score. You know what I mean, Aaron? Like the family stuff that they always talk about in Hobart, but it's like, okay, now show me. So we got a lot of cool quotes from not only myself, but everyone on our staff about really how, Hobart is football. Like Hobart is synonymous with football. And for the first time in a long time, they were back at state, and basically it reinvigorated the community, especially during a really tough year. So for them to make it to state is phenomenal in one aspect, but to make it to state and having only missed one game, which is not on your own part, it was due to Lowell's COVID-19 issues, but to make it through a pandemic and miss no games because your program had a COVID-19 issue is remarkable, honestly. We look at some of the other teams around the region. So big picture wise, Aaron, did you think we'd ever get to this point?
I was shocked when we started. I'll be honest. I kept watching COVID numbers throughout the summer, and I thought, okay, if we start, we're probably not going to finish. I was skeptical of IHSAA Commissioner Paul Neidig when I talked with him in June, and he said he thinks we can finish. At that point, so early on in the pandemic still, I just wasn't sure. And for me, it was about liability. Like, what happens to the schools if someone tests positive, or what happens if there's some deeper issues as a result of contracting the coronavirus. And I didn't see how schools would allow it. But as the season went on and we learned more about the protocols in place and how teams were adjusting, I completely swung and very much believe that schools can do this. I'm surprised other states haven't figured that out, such as neighboring Illinois, which obviously that's where I came from. So I'm in tune with that and talk with reporters from there and coaches all the time still about how Indiana's handled COVID-19 and progressed through it. And really, just a salute and a hat tip to all the players and coaches, not just in football, but cross country and volleyball and soccer, who were able to have their seasons and be able to compete and practice and enjoy some of the normalcies that we missed in the spring and over the summer. Obviously it's great for us because we get to write about you and we have fresh content every day. But really, I'm just glad that you guys were able to have a season. I'm glad for the seniors that were able to finish out their fall seasons. Hopefully nobody lost theirs due to COVID. I know a couple teams did in the postseason, which sucks that you're not able to go out on your own terms. But seriously, just a hat tip to everybody who was able to keep everybody safe, take the serious precautions that they needed to, and the protocols in place. And I hope we can keep this going through the winter season.
Yeah, it was quite a ride. Basically every week checking to see who had started up, who had shut it down, who was, there were some seasons at one point that were canceled, not postponed, they were canceled, like the school city of Hammond and Whiting, and then they were able to, bring them back after, like you said, people kind of had more research and realized that being outdoors really helps to kind of mitigate a lot of these factors when it comes to COVID, which is already kind of causing a little bit of turmoil with indoor sports, which is for a different podcast on a different day. And we've talked about it on other episodes with my other partner, Mike Clark. But as for football, the region got a team down to state for the second year in a row. Last year, Valpo was the Class 5A state runner-up. And then this year, like we said, the Brickies were the Class 4A runner-up. And we had 3 teams get to semi-state. And I figured we'd get 1 out, maybe 2. But from what I saw, Westfield is very talented. They actually, I know for those of you who are not in the region, probably don't care too much, but Center Grove won the 6A championship. Widely regarded as the best program in the state, top to bottom. They were picked to win it all, before the season even started. And Westfield hung with them. And, so it goes to show the caliber of team that Maryville was up against. And then Valpo actually lost to Zionsville, who's going to play in the 5A game later this evening. Again, it's Saturday. We're recording this on Saturday, the 28th. But yeah, it was a crazy season from being a reporter, and I'm guessing it was probably crazier for the actual athletes and coaches and ADs. I think now there's more of like a rhythm to it when I call coaches and ADs, and they're more comfortable saying like, hey, this was COVID, or hey, we're quarantining, because it's become kind of like the norm. But early on, it was kind of like, one, how do I get this information out there? How do we report it? Where is it going to come from? Are there going to be official statements and things? So it's like, it took some time for, I think, all of us to kind of adjust to it. But like you said, you had 12 teams compete for a state championship this weekend. Hobart was one of them. And, that was incredible. And I think one of the coolest moments, Aaron, I wrote about this in my story, which you all can check out on our website, nwi.com. When they raised the runner-up trophy, having lost by 42 points, it was so loud on the Bricky side. So loud. Like I don't know if you noticed that, but like it was really loud. And, according to Coach Craig Osika, nobody left. And I couldn't tell. They were not leaving. And then, honestly, when I was walking in, there was like a line of Bricky fans like waiting because, they had to let the fans in at different times this year because of COVID. They didn't want crowds to be mixing or overlapping. But it was a pretty long line for the Bricks. And, they did not. They stayed till the very end and cheered them on no matter what, which was really cool to see, because a lot of teams talk about family and being a family and being together and supporting each other. And it gets cliche after a while, and I'm sure you can relate, Aaron, and being in sports, for years and hearing the cliches that come along. But I think the Bricky community and Hobart in general really does embrace kind of like that blue-collar swagger of, it's us against everybody else.
Absolutely. And I think the cool thing, it was definitely loud during the trophy presentation, but when I first noticed it, and James can attest to this, but it was pretty quiet in the press box. Like, you couldn't hear much of what was happening in the stadium itself because of the glass windows. But I remember when Tyler Turley scored his touchdown, there was a big eruption.
Yes.
And it was probably the loudest. It was definitely, at that point, the loudest they had been all day. And I thought that was really cool that you could hear it as loud as it was through the glass and everything. So the Bricky pride is definitely there. Credit to everyone from Hobart and the surrounding area that were able to make the trip down. That was really cool. And seeing not just Coach Osika, but Bobby Babcock had a great comment on it. We got the video on our website if you want to actually watch for yourself. He talks about what Hobart means to him and why he pointed to Hobart on the trophy when they hoisted it. Just very cool. It's great to see that family atmosphere.
Yeah, you got to remember all these guys grew up together, and the thing about Hobart is like that their motto is all my life, I want to be a Bricky, work. So this mantra of being a Bricky doesn't start in high school like it does for some other people where they're coming up through a system and they become like, a pirate or something like that, which I know they have middle schools in Maryville and things like that. But I think that, Hobart is up there as far as region, cities and towns and things like that, where it's integrated into you to be a brickie from like birth. Like it's like a lifelong thing. So like, yes, they're seniors, they're young, they're 17, 18 years old, but you gotta remember this is like over a decade of wanting to be in that position. So for them to break through, that was pretty crazy. And then also, they were in a similar position last year and lost in heartbreaking fashion. I mean, they lost by less than a touchdown last year after being up, I believe, double digits early in the semi-state game. And I remember checking the score. I was at the Maryville Carmel game last year, and I was thinking, oh, wow, the Brickies are probably going to state. And they didn't. And I was talking to some of the players, like, they were saying, hey, we got up, we got way too confident, and we let it slip away. So, all these moments are not guaranteed, especially this year. I mean, with the pandemic, I mean, like you said, who would have thought we'd even have a season? So for them to kind of rally back together, come back together, and break through to the state championship was pretty incredible. I think that says a lot about the resiliency they have. Only because, I mean, when you're young, man, and you lose a big game like that, that's crushing. It would be hard for me to kind of like let that go, but ultimately they did, and it worked out for the best, I guess, to let them, allow them to push through and get to Lucas Oil Stadium, which is an awesome experience. When I had media day on this past Monday and talked to some of the players like Riley, Zach, and Bobby. They were all down there for media day, and it was and Tyler as well, and it was an awesome experience because they got to walk around the stadium, they got a tour of the stadium, they got to kind of see the field before they played on it, and those are lifelong memories that you won't necessarily attach to the scoreboard. I think the goal, when you ask any of these kids, they tell you, well, I want to play at state. They'll tell you they want to win state as well, but they say first, I want to play. And just getting to that stage, man, and being treated like you're, an NFL player is pretty sweet. And also, I guess selfishly, getting a chance to go down there myself and take a selfie on the field to show my mom, it was pretty nice too. So there you go.
My dad said the same thing. He texted me. He's like, make sure you get a selfie on the field.
Yeah, and what'd you think about, I know it was your first time there, Aaron. What'd you think about just the setup and, maybe take us behind the scenes, or not us, but our listeners, for how the setup was, how the food was, how the entry was, in light of COVID-19.
Yeah, the facility is obviously state-of-the-art. Like, it's not going to get better in the state of Indiana than Lucas Oil Stadium. My previous state experiences included in Illinois, the University of Illinois, and Northern Illinois University, which are two good facilities. I mean, they're good D1 facilities, but they're not NFL stadiums, which have a standard of their own. It's the most powerful organization in the world, I would say. And so it was really cool to walk up, and I've driven by Lucas Oil on the freeway many times. I've stayed at the JW Marriott a couple of blocks away. So I've seen the stadium, the exterior of the stadium, but I've never been inside. And, it's top notch. I mean, it really was. The concourses were nice and clean. I walked around a little bit before the Hobart game, before going up to the press box. The press box was nice and spacious. They did a great job with the social distancing and the COVID concerns. I thought the crowds, as spaced out as they were, did a great job as well. That was really, really well done by the 3 games we watched. All 6 teams, all of their fans were socially distant, which was great. Great to see. And then, being down on the field level was really cool to just get an appreciation for how big the stadium really was. It's definitely bigger than U of I, which is bigger than Northern Illinois. So, it was cool to see how bright the lights were with the dome closed and the video boards, and get a feel for what the players were actually looking at. It was great to also walk through the tunnels, and I saw the visitors' locker room where the Titans will be tomorrow. when they take on the Colts, and Marion Catholic product Dennis Kelly will be inside that locker room. It was cool to walk through in the press box and see. I actually took a picture of it. There was a sign for the instant replay room, and it says positively nobody allowed inside, or no visitors allowed inside. And it says, like, by the order of Roger Goodell. And so I snapped a picture of it because I was like, it's kind of cool. Like, you don't think about stuff like that when, even as someone who's in the media and has been in MLB stadium press boxes and other different pro and college sports press boxes, like, that's something that never crossed my mind is who's allowed in these different booths. So that was very cool to see. And, it was just super nice. I know I mentioned it was late. Everybody had left after the 6A game, but even like the way the stairs are lit, walking up and down from the seats to the concourse, like, was really cool to see. I mean, the stadium is gorgeous. If you ever get down for a game at some point, whether it's high school or a Big Ten championship or a Final Four or whatever it may be, I highly recommend visiting Lucas Oil Stadium.
Yeah, and I mean, just to kind of piggyback off that, I've been there twice now. I guess I'm a veteran. No, I take that back. I've been there a couple more times because of media day. And I had people ask, when I went down on Monday for media, like, why'd you drive all the way to Indy just to, talk to these guys? You can talk to them over the phone, or you can talk to them, via Zoom or whatever. And it's like, you don't know how many, like the players, seriously, like the players kind of have to approach it. As a media member, I'm like, man, James, you don't know how many times you're going to have the chance to do this. So just go. Like, enjoy it. It's a long week. It's always a little crazy because you lose that extra day of work because of Thanksgiving, which I'm totally fine with. I want to spend time with my family around the holidays. Of course, around this time a year and then this time we're in, I stayed at home with my immediate family. But nevertheless, it's definitely a long week. One where I think me and Aaron both probably didn't sleep much, if at all. But it was fun. And I think, and this is me just talking, but when Aaron kind of shot me an email this week and said that, hey, we have been talking about what we were going to do for state for a couple of weeks, thinking that we might get somebody down. And then when he sent the email to me and I saw the list of names, I was like, man, we got the whole crew. Like, this is like, I kind of felt like I felt like I was a six man on the dream team. Like, this is it. Like, so that was fun. And I think it was really cool because we got to share that experience with our other colleagues. Kale Wilk, who's our phenomenal photographer, Paul Oren, who's probably the most positive guy I know, who just kind of go with the flow. He's willing to do anything, anywhere. And our new freelancer, who's a veteran in the industry of journalism, Tom Keegan, writing a phenomenal story. And it just felt good to, basically show that this is what the Times does. This is what we want to do. I'm very proud of the work we've done throughout these crazy times. And I think that kind of capping off our football season, well, not quite capping off. We got all area coming up, so stay tuned. But capping off the actual playing of the games in that fashion and just basically bombarding Twitter and Facebook and our website with everything Hobart football was great, man. I think that's what people want. And like you said, with the circumstances now, who knows who was able to come or who wasn't able to come. And it certainly wasn't the same. I was going through some videos on my phone that I had saved from last year where I walked around the field. And it was like night and day. You had fans screaming, big crowds, players going to sing like their school song after the game, and parents and all types of people down on the field. Like, it was just different. So this year, I think one thing I can say, though, is that was probably as good as it could have gone, as normal as it could have been. And like you said, with the Bricky faithful being as loud as they were, you kind of got that vibe of being just at a normal football game. Obviously, the masks, you got to wear them and things like that. But, I mean, that hardly crossed my mind. We were down there getting our interviews. And also, for those of you who don't know, it kind of goes by fast, man. Like, I know we were both sitting up there like, dang, like the second quarter's over. And, he's Aaron's pounding out videos, and I'm trying to figure out what story angle I'm going to go with. And I'm tweeting out scores. And it was a lot of fun, a lot of work. But I think this is, I guess, the trade-off when we're, sitting in the cold for a game. It was nice to, I guess, be pampered at the state championship. It ended in that fashion. But, like I said in my videos, I had my weekly card videos. Who knows? Look, I might keep on for basketball every Friday night, just check in with the region. But I enjoyed it, and I kind of felt sad that I had to do my last one last night just because, you get in a rhythm and you wait for this moment to come, and hopefully it does come. You get a chance to do something really fun at Lucas Oil, which we did, and, we'll see what happens next year. We have a lot of great players graduating, so I know some, programs this year will probably have to rebuild, but I feel like every time I say something it's going to happen or something's not possible, I just think of Riley Johnson, who told me that they had a chance to go to state, on September 28th, 2019, Week 6 victory. He's telling me they're going to go to state after a Week 6 game. So anything's possible. We'll have to check in and see what happens next year.
Yeah, definitely a fun weekend. I mean, I wouldn't trade it for anything. Really, this entire season, like so much growth, so much learning. Not just from us, but the coaches I talked to, some of the players that we talked to. Like, I think everyone learned a little something. And it was really cool that Westfield and Hobart played back-to-back and were on the same sideline, especially with the Josh Miracle connection again, because I know that Hobart, if you hadn't read my story yet, spoiler alert, Hobart has taken some stuff from the Westfield program and integrated it into what they do, and the defensive coordinator, Sean Golad, talked about that at length, just how much of an impact that made on the program over the past couple of years. And, it'll be interesting to see what they do to take that next step and win one whenever they get that opportunity again, be it next year or a few years down the line or whatever it may be. They've opened up a whole new mindset for young Bricky fans. The Little Bricks, Pop Warner PV team, Dave Funks just did a story on them. They went through and won their Midwest Regional title, and they were inspired by the Big Bricks, the high school team, because they were winning semi-state on the same day, and they were winning, regionals and sectionals as both teams were kind of winning and advancing together. Just really cool to see what the next chapter of Hobart football looks like. Hopefully, I hope everything with COVID-19, maybe there's a vaccination coming soon, and maybe next fall we can get back to some normalcy, normal-sized crowds, and we can be loud, have the bands, have cheerleaders, have everybody able to enjoy the experience moving forward.
Yeah, I feel like I'm going to grab my mask out of like muscle memory, but like you said, hopefully, we look back a year from now, we'll be able to say, dang, like that was something. But in the spirit of Thanksgiving and the holidays, I did this with Mike. I'm going to put you on the spot, Aaron. What are some things you're thankful for in your life as we kind of close out the year and get ready for what's next?
I think each day is a blessing. I kind of learned at a young age from some medical stuff on my own, some medical stuff with my family. Like, tomorrow isn't promised. And especially now when you've got a disease that could be potentially deadly or life-altering, you got to take each day you can't take each day for granted. You've got to take it for what it is. And it's an opportunity to be the best version of yourself, to impact others in a positive way. And, so I'm just thankful for that. To each day I wake up, have an opportunity to maybe impact someone's life that I don't know, or maybe someone I do know, just by carrying them with kindness, loving them in different ways, trying to be positive and upbeat. I'm thankful for the opportunity to work from home, so I could go home to Michigan for a week. And I'm working from home in Michigan, but I'm also, when I'm off the clock, spending time with my brother who has severe special needs, my sister who flew in from college for the holiday week, and just get to see my parents and my other brother who's been working and worked like crazy last week. It is just really cool to have that opportunity to be with family, but also take care of my responsibilities, and then, just each day have an opportunity to be a better version of myself and impact the lives of the people I work with and the people I meet each day in hopefully a positive way.
All right. You see, folks, this is why Aaron is the man. I'll say that I'll keep it short because I said this on the last podcast, talked to my mom, my grandma, my dad, and you all know that I feel like I wear my heart on my sleeve. I try to, just because that's who I am. But I will say seriously, I am thankful for my staff, my editor, Aaron, who answers my phone calls all the time when I have story ideas or I have an update or I have something. There's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes that he doesn't always have a name attached to. And he always has my back no matter what when it comes to this job and how crazy it can get sometimes. And even, telling me, hey, take your foot off the gas a little bit. We got a story for today. Relax, and spend time with your family because it can get crazy sometimes. So appreciative of a boss that understands the value of family. Appreciative of having a second family at the times. And I guess I'm more appreciative, even so, for a third family in the region who reads my work, supports our work as a newspaper, stay locked in with us. And like I said, be on the lookout for all area football. I'll be sending out my surveys to all the coaches, calling coaches, getting stats, and looking through game stories we had and looking at rankings and all types of stuff to do this the best way I can. I'm sure there's going to be some folks who tell me I am a terrible reporter and I got it totally wrong because, some players are a second team player and they're supposed to be like a first team player and all this type of stuff. But regardless, I enjoy the enthusiasm that is around prep football in the region. There is true love for it here. I had to learn that pretty quickly. I'm up here in Illinois. I don't think football gets the same amount of love as it does on my side of the state lines as it does in the region. But, it's been a phenomenal year, and we're going to make sure that we continue to bring you the best content we can because that's our job. That's what we love to do. So just stay tuned and stay safe.